For the first time in its 110-year history, the Panama Canal is facing its greatest crisis yet. It's running dangerously low on water. At the same time, a $270 billion race to replace it is heating up, with countries like China and Nicaragua leading ambitious projects to challenge its dominance. But the Panama Canal isn't alone in this struggle. By the end of this video, we'll explore the precarious positions other famous waterways face, like the Suez Canal, which is threatened by rising sea levels, and the Malacca Strait, grappling with piracy and congestion. This raises an important question. Can the Panama Canal, and other canals like it, survive the challenges of rising competition and environmental threats? Or is their legacy at risk of sinking? Let's dive in and find out together. Hey guys, it's Jerry here, and to truly understand the significance of this crisis, we need to take a step back and explore how international shipping has evolved over the past 100 years. Shipping has come a long way in the past century, and the Panama Canal has always been at the heart of these changes. Back in 1914, when the canal first opened, it was a marvel of engineering, cutting an 82-kilometer-long path through Panama to link the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Before this, ships had to endure the grueling and dangerous journey around Cape Horn, the southern tip of South America. The canal transformed global trade almost overnight, slashing travel distances by thousands of kilometers. For example, the journey from New York to San Francisco dropped from 21,000 kilometers to just 8,000 kilometers. In the early days, ships were smaller. The original locks of the canal were perfect for the vessels of the time, easily handling their passage and keeping global trade humming. Back then, it was the canal's golden era. But as time passed, the world and shipping changed. Fast forward to the 1950s. The world was rebuilding after World War II and trade was booming. A shipping revolution was underway. The invention of container ships. These ships made transporting goods faster and cheaper thanks to their uniform metal containers that stacked neatly like building blocks. But there was a catch. These ships were getting bigger. Too big for the canal. Then came the oil boom, and with it the rise of supertankers. These enormous vessels carried millions of liters of oil across the seas, but couldn't fit through the canal's locks. Even though it was still crucial, the Panama Canal was starting to feel small. By the 1980s, globalization was in full swing. Factories were popping up in Asia, churning out goods that needed to be shipped worldwide. Trade volumes exploded, and so did the size of ships. New, massive vessels called post-Panamax ships were built, but they were simply too big for the canal. Suddenly, the Panama Canal wasn't the only player in town. Other routes, like the Suez Canal, started grabbing a bigger slice of the action. The Panama Canal needed to adapt, or risk becoming irrelevant. In 2007, Panama decided to do something bold. The country launched a $5.25 billion expansion project, adding a new set of locks designed to handle much larger ships. When the new locks opened in 2016, they could accommodate Neo-Panax ships carrying up to 14,000 containers, more than twice the size of what the original locks could handle. It was a huge win for Panama, restoring the canal's importance in the shipping world. But the celebration didn't last long. The challenges didn't stop there. Climate change brought new problems. The Panama Canal depends on fresh water from nearby lakes to operate its locks. Every time a ship passes through, it uses more than 190 million liters of water. And with droughts becoming more frequent and severe, those lakes are shrinking. Last year, water levels at Lake Gatun, the canal's lifeline, dropped so low that fewer ships could pass through. At its worst, only 22 ships a day were allowed, far below the usual 36 to 38. Imagine over 160 ships waiting at both ends of the canal, losing time and money with each passing hour. But Panama isn't standing still. The government and the canal's administrators are working on solutions. First, they're planning on building a new dam on the Rio Indio to create an additional reservoir. This would provide a backup water source during dry spells, ensuring the canal has enough water to operate. The project isn't cheap and is expected to cost $1.6 billion and take 6 years to complete. But it is crucial for the canal's survival. Second, they're exploring innovative water-saving techniques. For example, they've started using storage tanks to recycle water used in the locks, reducing the strain on Lake Gatun. This helps keep the canal running without draining the lake too quickly. And third, they're investing in technology to tackle the long-term impacts of climate change. From cloud seeding to increase rainfall to desalination projects, Panama is pulling out all the stops to secure the canal's future. But is this enough? The Panama Canal's position as the world's shortcut is under threat. Other countries like China and Nicaragua are planning ambitious projects that could replace the canal altogether. What are they up to, and how will their plans change the game? Let me take you through this. Okay, so first there's China. They're no strangers to thinking big, and their plans could reshape shipping forever. Imagine a $270 billion megaproject, a dry canal in Colombia. This isn't your typical waterway. Instead of locks and water, it's a railway stretching across the country, connecting the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic. The goal? Move massive amounts of cargo at lightning speed, bypassing the Panama Canal entirely. China is also pushing its influence in the region, using projects like this to tie Latin America closer to its Belt and Road Initiative. This isn't just about trade, it's about global power. Now Nicaragua. They've dreamed of building a canal to rival Panama's. Their Grand Canal project would have been 276 kilometers long and wide enough to handle even the largest ships, the ones too big for Panama's expanded locks. If completed, it could have taken away a significant chunk of Panama's traffic. But here's the twist. The project stalled. Financial struggles, protests, environmental concerns put it on hold. Still, the dream isn't dead. Nicaragua knows that demand for alternatives to Panama is growing, and whispers of reviving the project are already making waves. Why does this matter so much? It's because the Panama Canal isn't just a shortcut for ships, it's the lifeblood of Panama's economy. Every year, it generates more than $2 billion in revenue, funding schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. If new routes like Nicaragua's canal or Colombia's rail system pull traffic away, Panama could face an economic crisis. Fewer ships mean fewer jobs, less money, and a tough road ahead for a country that relies on the canal for 6% of its GDP. Today's shipping giants called post-Panamax ships are a problem for Panama. These vessels are huge, up to 400 meters long, and carry thousands of containers at once. They're so big that even Panama's expanded locks struggle to accommodate them. So, what do shipping companies do? They look for other routes. This trend is reshaping global trade, with companies like Egypt and Malaysia stepping up to offer alternatives. But even those alternatives have their struggles. The Suez Canal, a critical waterway connecting Europe and Asia, faces a massive threat from rising sea levels. Scientists warned that by 2050, parts of the canal could flood, disrupting global shipping. Then there's the Malacca Strait, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, connecting the Indian and Pacific Oceans. It's battling congestion, with over 80,000 vessels passing through every year. And let's not forget piracy. Criminal groups target ships, adding another layer of risk for shipping containers. So, where does all this leave the Panama Canal? It's at the center of a geopolitical tug-of-war. The United States has long seen the canal as a strategic asset, vital for both global trade and its own military. But China is making moves. From investing in Panama's ports to proposing rival routes, China is challenging the US for influence in the Americas. This isn't just about who controls shipping lanes, it's about who controls the future of trade. Then there's the environment. Operating the canal is no small task. Each ship passing through uses over 190 million liters of fresh water. That's more water than 10,000 people drink in a year. Climate change is making things worse. Droughts are drying up Gatun Lake, the canal's main water source. Without enough water, fewer ships can pass through, and the whole system grinds to a halt. Panama is trying to adapt by building new reservoirs and using water-saving technology, but it's a race against time. So, what's next for the Panama Canal? It's clear the challenges are enormous. From bigger ships and rival projects to climate change and geopolitical shifts, the canal faces a tough fight to stay relevant. But Panama isn't giving up. The country is betting on innovation and sustainability to secure the canal's future. Whether that's enough remains to be seen. Now, over to you. What do you think about these challenges? Will the Panama Canal adapt and stay vital, or will it be replaced by bigger, bolder projects? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that matters.